Canadian Bulldog here from Wrestling Merchandise and Memories. That's merchandiseandmemories.com. And today we're counting down the top 50 WrestleMania moments. And looking at the top 50 WrestleMania moments, we looked at the following criteria. First, whether it was a match, a sequence within a match, an interview, or any other aspect, how memorable was it or will it be years later? Second, did it have an impact on WWE or the business altogether? And third, how likely are we to see it replayed in highlight reels or WWE documentaries for years to come? Ready? Here we go. Number 50. Welcome to WrestleMania. At WrestleMania 3, Vince McMahon surveyed the massive, seemingly endless crowd on hand and shouted, "Welcome to WrestleMania 3!" which was later shortened in the sound bites to omit the 3. It was an iconic moment that is still used in WWE video packages. Number 49, the Macho Flair Affair. At WrestleMania 8, Ric Flair was defending his WWF World Championship against Randy Macho Man Savage. But leading up to the match, Flair had teased Savage with a series of doctored photos of Flair with Savage's wife, Miss Elizabeth. Out for revenge that night, Savage pinned Flair to win the WWF Championship. Number 48, girls just want to win belts. At the first WrestleMania, Leilani Kai, who is managed by the fabulous Moolah, was defending her WWF Women's Championship against Wendy Richter, who had rock star Cyndi Lauper in her corner. Without Lauper, there may not have even been a WrestleMania, so it was no surprise that she led Richter to victory. Number 47, the Hardys return. At WrestleMania 33, Gallows and Anderson were set to defend their Raw Tag Team titles against two other teams in a ladder match. However, WrestleMania host The New Day announced a last-second addition. Instead of adding themselves, they added a returning Matt and Jeff Hardy to one of the loudest reactions in WrestleMania history. Number 46, Mick's Mania Moment. At WrestleMania 22, Mick Foley came out of retirement to face Edge in a brutal bout. In the lead-up to his match, Foley claimed he had never had his own WrestleMania moment, despite numerous Mania matches. Foley said his moment was Edge's look of absolute terror following their brutal bout. Number 45, Hulkamania runs wild on Bundy. At WrestleMania 2, Hulk Hogan defended his WWF World title against King Kong Bundy. The match took place in a steel cage, and because Hogan's ribs had already been softened up by Bundy, it was a close contest, but Hulkamania ultimately prevailed. Number 44, Cena Proposal. Following a tag team victory over The Miz and Maurice at WrestleMania 33, John Cena did something never before seen in WrestleMania history. He proposed to his longtime girlfriend Nikki Bella in the middle of the ring. While the two never ended up tying the knot, it was nonetheless a memorable WrestleMania moment. Number 43, See Ya, Hot Rod. At WrestleMania 3, Rowdy Roddy Piper took on adorable Adrian Adonis to end a feud that began the previous summer when Piper returned to the WWF. However, Piper vowed to retire afterwards regardless of the match outcome, and when Hot Rod won, he allowed Brutus Beefcake to shave Adrian Adonis bald. Number 42, The Battle for America. At WrestleMania 7, on the heels of the first Gulf War, WWF World Champion and American Turncoat Sergeant Slaughter battled Hulk Hogan. While the Hulkster had to counter cheating by Slaughter and his manager General Adnan, he still won the championship and held the American flag high over his head. Number 41, Billionaire Haircut. At WrestleMania 23, Vince McMahon and future US President Donald Trump held a match to determine their fates with Stone Cold Steve Austin as referee. McMahon used Umaga as his surrogate, while Trump had Bobby Lashley. After Lashley won, McMahon was forced to have his head shaved bald. Number 40, the $15,000 Body Slam. At the first WrestleMania, Andre the Giant and Big John Studd decided to settle their grudge, which had been going since Studd and Ken Patera cut Andre's hair. Andre vowed to retire if he lost the Body Slam challenge, and when he won, Studd owed him $15,000. Andre shared the bag full of cash with the audience. Number 39, Stone Cold returns. The final segment for night one of WrestleMania 38 saw Stone Cold Steve Austin return as part of Kevin Owens' KO show. But the talk show appearance led to a one-on-one match between the two, which happened to be Stone Cold's first match in almost 20 years. Number 38, Brother Against Brother. At WrestleMania 10, Bret the Hitman Hart opened the show against his younger brother, Owen Hart. While brother versus brother matches had happened before, never had such a match taken place on such a major stage. Surprisingly, Owen pinned his brother, and later in the night, Bret would go on to win the WWF World title. Number 37, Rollins banks a win. At WrestleMania 31, Seth Rollins had lost to Randy Orton, but he wasn't finished for the evening. Near the end of the Brock Lesnar vs. Roman Reigns WWE World title main event, Rollins cashed in his Money in the Bank title shot, making the match a triple threat. Rollins soon pinned Reigns to win the championship. Number 36, Bam Bam fumbles against LT. At WrestleMania 11, the main event featured Bam Bam Bigelow against football legend Lawrence Taylor. While Taylor had never had a pro wrestling match before, he'd been training for the big moment for some time and put on a surprisingly impressive performance against Bam Bam, with LT getting the win. Number 35, Jericho's show of sportsmanship. At WrestleMania 19, Shawn Michaels took on Chris Jericho, a man who had patterned his entire career after the Heartbreak Kid. The two engaged in a modern classic, with Michaels getting the pinfall. Jericho then extended his hand to Michaels in victory, and the two hugged seconds before Y2J low blowed HBK. Number 34, Once in a Lifetime. At WrestleMania 28, John Cena took on The Rock in a match that had been announced the day after the previous year's WrestleMania. After lobbing insults back and forth for the entire year, the two had an epic encounter. The Rock pinned Cena after landing his second rock bottom, crushing Cena's hopes. Number 33, Twice in a Lifetime? At WrestleMania 29, John Cena took on The Rock in a rematch from the previous year's event. The twist this time was that The Rock had recently captured the WWE Championship and the title was on the line. Cena landed 3 Attitude Adjusters on The Rock, winning the championship. Number 32, The Wrestler Punches a Wrestler. At WrestleMania 25, Chris Jericho was initially to battle actor Mickey Rourke, who won critical acclaim for his portrayal in The Wrestler. Instead, Jericho took on Rowdy Roddy Piper, Ricky Steamboat, and Superfly Jimmy Snuka, but was KO'd afterwards by none other than Rourke. Number 31, End of an Era. At WrestleMania 28, The Undertaker took on Triple H in what was their second consecutive WrestleMania match and their third WrestleMania match overall. This time around, it was a Hell in a Cell match with special referee Shawn Michaels, and by the time Undertaker had won the match, it was the end of an era that all three men had personified. Number 30, Cody Rhodes returns. Although it was widely expected, the return of Cody Rhodes to WWE at WrestleMania 38 was one of the event's biggest moments. Rhodes, who hadn't been with the promotion since 2016, made a triumphant return in a starring role, scoring an emphatic win over Seth freakin' Rollins. Number 29, Kofi Mania. At WrestleMania 35, Kofi Kingston finally received his shot at the WWE Championship, which was held by Daniel Bryan. With unwavering fan support by his side, Kingston popped the crowd at MetLife Stadium, giving the New Day member a long-awaited WrestleMania moment. Number 28, the Shawn Michaels era begins. At WrestleMania 12, Shawn Michaels took on WWF World Champion Bret Hart in what was the show's first and only 60-minute Iron Man match. A back-and-forth classic took place over the next hour, with neither man scoring a fall as time expired. Michaels scored a pinfall when it went into sudden death overtime. Number 27, the Macho Man era begins. At WrestleMania 4, a 14-man tournament took place to determine the undisputed WWF World Champion. In the final round, it came down to Randy Macho Man Savage and the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase for the championship. Savage pinned DiBiase to win the belt and held it for a year. Number 26, the John Cena era begins. At WrestleMania 21, WWE Champion John Bradshaw Layfield defended his title against John Cena, who, believe it or not, was universally cheered at this point. A back-and-forth contest ended with Cena landing his FU finisher and pinning Layfield, winning his first of a record 16 WWE/World Championships. Number 25, Charlie Hustled. At WrestleMania 14, baseball legend Pete Rose was the special guest ring announcer for a match featuring The Undertaker against Kane. Rose, who's also known as Charlie Hustle, put down the fans in Boston and ended up receiving a chokeslam from Kane, a tradition that would continue for 3 straight WrestleManias. Number 24, All in the Family. At WrestleMania 17, WWF owner Vince McMahon, with his daughter, mistress, and sedated wife in his corner, took on WCW owner and son Shane McMahon, with Mick Foley as the special referee. After a ton of outside interference and surprise twists and turns, Shane McMahon pinned his pops. Number 23, Money in the Bank. At WrestleMania 21, the first ever Money in the Bank ladder match was held, with the winner receiving an automatic World or WWE title shot whenever they wanted it over the next year. In the end, Edge triumphed over Shelton Benjamin, Christian, Chris Jericho, Kane, and Chris Benoit to capture the first Money in the Bank briefcase. Number 22, Roman Reigns. While Roman Reigns has had a lot of big WrestleMania wins over the years, such as over Triple H and The Undertaker, arguably his biggest win was at Night 2 of WrestleMania 38. He defeated Brock Lesnar to unify Lesnar's WWE Championship with Reigns' Universal Championship. Number 21, Impromptu Main Event. At WrestleMania 9, Bret Hitman Hart dropped the WWF World title to the massive Yokozuna. Hulk Hogan, who had wrestled in an earlier tag match, came to avenge Hart's loss and ended up being challenged by Yokozuna's manager, Mr. Fuji. Hogan pinned Yokozuna after 22 seconds to win the championship. Number 20, 3 teams, 2 belts, and a ladder. At WrestleMania 16, WWF Tag Team Champions the Dudley Boys defended the belts against Edge and Christian and Matt and Jeff Hardy. This was the first 3-way ladder match between the 3 legendary teams, but not the last. Edge and Christian reached the belts first and won. Number 19, Stone Cold Heel Turn. At WrestleMania 17, The Rock was defending his WWF World Championship against Stone Cold Steve Austin. Although both were fan favorites, tensions had mounted in the weeks leading up to the match. Austin won due to outside interference from his longtime arch-rival, Vince McMahon. Number 18, a new attendance record, low. WrestleMania 36 was moved from the massive Raymond James Stadium to the tiny WWE Performance Center due to the global pandemic. Instead of tens of thousands of fans in attendance, the event had exactly 0 fans, spread over 2 nights, giving the show a unique feel. Number 17, Women Make History. WrestleMania 35 was unique in that it was the first time a women's match closed the show. It was a triple threat match featuring Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey, SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch, who triumphed over both ladies to become Becky 2 Belts. Number 16, Hulkamania Lives. At WrestleMania 18, The Rock took on Hulk Hogan, who had recently returned to the WWF as part of the NWO. Shockingly, the fans in Toronto were cheering Hogan more than they were The Rock, who was the babyface. When Hogan lost the match, he and Rock embraced and were cheered by the massive crowd. Number 15, Triple Threat. At WrestleMania 20, Triple H defended his world title against Shawn Michaels and 2004 Royal Rumble winner Chris Benoit. While the match is no longer touted by WWE for obvious reasons, Benoit won the championship in a modern-day classic when he made the Game tap out to his crippler crossface. Number 14, Climbing the Ladder. At WrestleMania 10, Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels battled over the Intercontinental Championship. Because both men had a claim to the title and both held a version of it, both belts were hung above the ring in a ladder match. Ramon won in a precursor to the TLC and Money in the Bank matches. Number 13, They'll turn, but they won't tap. At WrestleMania 13, Bret Hart took on Stone Cold Steve Austin in a submission match with Ken Shamrock as the special guest referee. The Hitman turned heel when he won, and Austin turned face. Neither man submitted, though Austin passed out while in Hart's sharpshooter. Number 12, the Mega Powers explode. At WrestleMania 5, WWF World Champion Randy Macho Man Savage took on Hulk Hogan with manager Miss Elizabeth in a neutral corner. The two former Mega Powers and best friends had a brutal encounter, with Hogan eventually pinning Savage and capturing his second WWF World title. Number 11, So Long, Sean. At WrestleMania 26, The Undertaker put his streak on the line against Shawn Michaels for the second consecutive WrestleMania, with the added stipulation that Michaels would have to retire if he lost. After 24 minutes in the final match of the show, The Undertaker won, forcing Michaels to retire after a 26-year career. Number 10, Retiring the Man. At WrestleMania 24, Shawn Michaels took on Nature Boy Ric Flair, who'd been given a stipulation by Vince McMahon where the next match he lost, he'd be forced to retire. In an emotional match between the two good friends, Michaels pinned Flair, ending the Nature Boy's 36-year career. Number 9, the Hulkster and Mr. T. At the very first WrestleMania, Hulk Hogan chose actor Mr. T to be his tag team partner against enemies Rowdy Roddy Piper and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. A gaggle of special guests surrounded the ring for the inaugural WrestleMania main event, which was won by the two 1980s icons. Number 8, Macho Man and Elizabeth reconcile. At WrestleMania 7, Randy Macho Man Savage faced the Ultimate Warrior in a loser must retire match. Savage lost the bout and was attacked by his manager, Sensational Sherry. Savage's former manager and love interest, Miss Elizabeth, ran to ringside and the two reconciled. Number 7, Mysterio's Mania Miracle. At WrestleMania 22, Rey Mysterio was added to a world title match featuring champion Kurt Angle and Randy Orton. Mysterio upset his two larger opponents in winning the match and the championship while emotionally dedicating the win to his recently deceased friend, Eddie Guerrero. Number 6, the streak ends. At WrestleMania 30, The Undertaker brought his unprecedented 21-0 WrestleMania winning streak to challenger Brock Lesnar. To the shock of virtually everyone in the Superdome, Lesnar pinned Undertaker after 25 minutes of action, forever ending wrestling's most impressive winning streak. Number 5, Steamboat vs. Savage. At WrestleMania 3, Intercontinental Champion Randy Macho Man Savage took on Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in a massive grudge match. Following a thrilling series of twists, turns, reversals, and near falls, Steamboat captured the Intercontinental title, ending off one of the most acclaimed matches in wrestling history. Number 4, Yeselmania. At WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan had two matches scheduled. First, he defeated WWE COO Triple H, and then at the end of the show, he toppled Triple H's Evolution teammates Batista and WWE World Champion Randy Orton in a triple threat match. Not bad for someone who barely factored into the early plans for WrestleMania. Number 3, the Ultimate Victory. At WrestleMania 6, WWF World Champion Hulk Hogan took on Intercontinental Champion The Ultimate Warrior in one of WWF's first title-for-title and fan-favorite versus fan-favorite matches. Warrior capitalized when Hogan missed his patented leg drop, winning both the match and the WWF World Championship. Number 2, Tyson knocks out HBK. At WrestleMania 14, WWF World Champion Shawn Michaels took on Stone Cold Steve Austin with special referee Mike Tyson, who is supposedly aligned with Michaels. Austin won the championship, and after Michaels began arguing with Tyson, HBK was knocked out by Iron Mike in a classic moment. And number 1, Hogan slams Andre. At WrestleMania 3, WWF World Champion Hulk Hogan took on his former friend Andre the Giant, who had been undefeated for 15 years. While Hogan was successful in turning back the Giant's challenge, the biggest WrestleMania moment took place when Hogan body slammed the 500-plus pound Andre. What did you think of our list? Let us know below if you agree or disagree with our picks, and check out merchandiseandmemories.com for much more.